Because to me, they're applying for a job, and tonight is their job interview. And I appreciate you all showing up for your job interview. So my first question relates directly to that. So what is your job description of a House member? How do you think you are qualified for this job? And what makes you qualified to be a representative representing Stanley and Cabarrus County? And first up, we'll start, second in line will be Justin Burr.
Thank you again, Lanny. For me, you can look at my record. As I said in my opening statements, I have a proven record as a conservative, effective, and dedicated representative in Raleigh. When I got there, we were in the minority. We worked hard to take the majority and to bring on enough folks so that we could change the way we do business in this state. Working with the new leadership, when we got the Republican majority, we did that. We started that process. The Speaker at that time put me in charge of really developing much of that early platform and the structure that we used to pass much of the good legislation that we got through. You can look at my service. I've chaired many committees there and been involved at a high level on issues such as the budget, health and human services, justice and public safety issues. I currently chair and Speaker's tasked me with the responsibility as sole member in the House of reforming our judicial system and restructuring how all of our judicial districts are established. You look at what we've been able to get done. I have certainly proven that and have managed to keep many of the positions that I have been obtained under Speaker Tillis and have been in those roles for several years. So I'm familiar with how state government works. It's not something you can learn overnight. It takes time to figure out how that big beast in Raleigh works and how you have to find ways to fix it, which doesn't happen overnight. So you've got to continuously chip away at the bureaucracy, chip away at the wasteful spending. We've eliminated hundreds of millions of dollars over the years and done that effectively and kept that money off and put that money back in the pockets of the taxpayers. And on top of that, we've worked to make sure that when you have an issue, when you have a concern or something you need help addressing with state government, that you've got someone that knows how to do that. That's what I've been able to do in Raleigh when it comes to local matters, and certainly working to make sure that we have the road funding we need, we have the economic development funding we need. So that for me is, you can just look at my record and see where I stand and what I've been able to get done.
Next up with the same question is Larry Pittman.
I got job description, qualifications, what else?
How do you intend to represent the interests of thousands of people in Stanley and Cabarrus County?
Well, actually, it's going to be Cabarrus and Wane if I get it. Well, the job description is that you listen to every argument everybody makes as much as you can and try to read. But yeah, that's one thing, you don't get to read all the bills. We'd love to be able to read every bill, but when they throw 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 things at you at one time, you can't read them all, especially these are 200 or 300 pages long. But you study the bills as best you can and you apply basic principles that you live by to those bills. Constitution, that's one thing. Does it follow the Constitution? If it doesn't, I'm not voting for it. If it breaks God's law, I'm not going to vote for it. If it is something that the government has no business meddling in, I'm not going to vote for it. If I can't justify it to the taxpayers, I'm not going to vote for it. So looking out for the people's rights and the people's interests and upholding the Constitution is the basic job description. Qualifications, well, I've been there since 2011. I've learned a lot on that job, and I've made some compromises when it was necessary, but I have not compromised principle, and I never will. Let's see, what can I bring is some things I was starting to talk about earlier. Listen to people. You know, it's not just making laws in Raleigh. Sometimes it's better to stop bad law than it is to make a new law, and I've done a lot of that. But constituent issues, people come to me and said, you know, they're extending George Lyles down to Roberta Road, and in this residential part down at the southern part of it, they're going to have a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. We need you to do something about that. So I got it reduced to 45. You might not know, I got that reduced to 45 miles an hour. So it's doing those kind of things, working with other people where you can. I've even worked with some Democrats on some things. It's kind of unusual, but I do. But it's knowing that God, Jesus indeed, is going to judge us. We're going to be accountable to Him for the way that we govern, and making sure we look out for the people's rights, because we're going to answer to Him if we don't. Thank you.
Next up is Wane Sasser.
Folks, I've been a pharmacist for 43 years. I've dealt with sick people for 43 years. One thing you develop when you hang around and take people's lives in your hands is people skills. Everybody I deal with most days don't feel good. They've already been to the doctor's office. The doctor's office already written them off for $100, and now they're coming to me and they have no idea with today's prescription prices where they're going to be $2 or $200. So the one thing I am good at is people skills. Everybody wants to tell you that this learning curve down in Raleigh is just enormous. I've been a member of the North Carolina Association of Pharmacists forever. I've served on the Advocacy and Policy Committee, and through that committee was able to work on the opioid law that the legislature passed in 2017 called the STOP Act. If you have any expertise and you have any people skills, then you can work in Raleigh. It's not brain surgery. I have worked and been on committees in Stanley County, everything from president of the Hospital Foundation to Foundation of the Carolinas, deacon in my church, served on the Board of Health numerous times, president of Friends of the Ag Center, was on a committee of 8 people that raised $1.5 million to build the Farm Bureau Ag Arena in Stanley County. I got 30 seconds left on the other one. So, but anyway, served on the Senior Citizens Board, numerous boards in Stanley County. I've always given back to my community because I've been a blessed individual and want to continue to do that and go to Raleigh. Thank you very much.